In the following demonstration, I will show you how anyone who has a significant investment in any equipment that requires lubrication will benefit from Revive. Whether your service needs are automotive, racing, trucking, heavy construction, mining, marine, agricultural, or if you require a large industrial application, Revive will change your bottom line by reducing downtime, labor, and maintenance expenses. Revive is an incredible multi-use product that extends the life of engines, gearboxes, transmissions, and even hydraulic systems. Revive maximizes fuel economy, improves performance, and helps protect in the event of a catastrophic situation. Revive does all this as a 100% petroleum-based product formulated with environmental awareness and does not contain any of the controversial solids that may be harmful to your equipment. When used as directed, Revive will not void manufacturer's warranties. Unlike other additives, much less Revive is required to reduce friction conditions. None of the leading products compare in the economy of ratios. You receive all the benefits of this fortifier by adding 1 ounce per quart, or just 3% by volume, with your existing engine oils. Revive represents great value for your equipment investment dollars. In the following demonstration, you will see why those who use Revive truly believe it is tomorrow's lubricant today. This is a Timken-style bearing tester, very commonly used in the lubricant industry to test film strength, boundary lubrication, and the effects of extreme pressure and load on oils and greases. The way the machine works is on a cantilever mechanism, which simply means every time I put a 1 pound weight down here, it transfers the load up and across the arm right to the point of contact. At approximately 35 foot-pounds of pressure per weight, we use a C62 hardened bearing because as we start stacking some weights on here, we're going to get into some pretty extreme pressures. And a C62 hardened bearing, if it's much harder than that under extreme pressure, could have a tendency to shatter. And if it's much softer, it'd flatten out, and I wouldn't even be able to do a test. So this is a good medium for this test. What we're going to do first is a dry run, no lubrication at all, so we can establish a base for the rest of the testing. Now this is similar to what happens every time you start your car or your piece of equipment when it's sat overnight. With conventional lubrication, they drain into the oil pan and you have very little film strength protecting those vital friction areas at startup. So let's create a metal-to-metal test. We have a fresh bearing face, and let's see what happens. We have a permanent lockup with 3 weights. And let's take a look at the damage. You can see it's pretty significant. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to turn it to a fresh bearing face, and then we're going to use a leading brand synthetic for this test, but we don't have to use a leading brand synthetic. We can use any oil. It could be a straight weight, a straight 40 or 50 weight. It could be a multi-grade. It could be a synthetic. It could be a detergent or a non-detergent. It doesn't make any difference. But for this particular test, we're going to go ahead and use one of the leading brand synthetics on the market. And we're going to create a good bead of boundary lubrication as if your equipment is running and the oil is circulating through all the vital friction areas. And I've turned it to a fresh bearing face. So let's see what kind of load this leading synthetic can handle. And we're going to take all the weights off, and we're going to start from scratch. We've got a permanent lockup with 4 weights. It carried 3 and it locked up on 4. And let's take a look at the difference in wear. Scar marks are almost identical. That's no oil at all, and that's the leading synthetic. Now we're not saying there's anything wrong with any of the oils out there. They all do their job well. They're all made to meet manufacturer specifications, but we're just going to show you how we can help those oils perform a little bit better and help protect your equipment. I'm going to go ahead and fortify this oil with Revive, and then I'll explain Revive a little bit and how Revive works. I'm going to use 1/4 teaspoon because we have a little over an ounce of oil in the cup, which is equivalent to 1 ounce of Revive per quart in your engine oil. That's all you need. That's not a lot of product, so I'm going to try and get it all off with this spoon. Now let me go ahead and take a second and explain Revive. Revive, first of all, is made by Lubri-Loy. They've been in the oil business since 1949, primarily focusing on products that improve the desired intent of lubrication. This is 100% petroleum-based product. Does not contain any of the controversial solids that may be harmful to your equipment. It's formulated with environmental awareness. This is a concentrate, and this is the greatest thing about this product because you can use it in everything that requires any form of lubrication. Doesn't matter if it's engines, whether they're gasoline, diesel, or propane powered, whether it's a 2-stroke piece of equipment, whether it's a gearbox or differential or manual transmission, whether it's an automatic transmission, or whether it's a hydraulic system. You change the ratio depending on what you are actually treating. Okay, for an example, engine, you use 1 ounce per quart. A gearbox, you use 1.5 ounces, you up the ratio. But in an application where you're treating a automatic transmission or a hydraulic system, in those fluids you actually have more chemical than you have petroleum. So you want to lower the ratio because all we want to treat is the petroleum base in those fluids and help those fluids perform at maximum levels. So all we have done here is we've fortified the leading synthetic with Revive. I'm going to use the exact same scar mark that it locked up on because this would simulate an older piece of equipment with considerable wear and tear on it. And if you look again, you notice those scar marks are almost identical in roughness. All right, and this is where it locked up, the same 4 weights. Listen to what happens now that we've added Revive. Revive goes right to those friction areas, actually smoothed out that rough surface, so not only will this simulated older piece of equipment run smoother, cooler, and quieter, but we'll have more power using less fuel, we'll extend the life of that piece of equipment, and it can even handle more pressure now. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3 more, so we've more than doubled the load, and I'll show you, it just polished out that rough surface. See how shiny that is now compared to the rough scar mark next to it? Okay, what I'm going to do next now is turn it to a fresh bearing face